Hello and welcome to the KOFISI Connect podcast, your source for a wealth of roundtable discussions on the workplace and business, as well as cultural news and trends from the diverse and dynamic continent of Africa. I'm your host, Richard Okenye, and today I'm very pleased to introduce Michael Aldridge, CEO and founder, KOFISI Africa. Michael, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
It's great to be here.
Yeah, it's great to be here too.
Always good.
It's the Future of Work month at KOFISI this month. Is this the future?
This is the future.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And even when you sit in these rooms, it reminds us of the ambition and the vision that we had was to create these dynamic environments that a different kind of engagement can occur, a different kind of productivity can occur.
Right. You're a businessman running a business that's taking care of businesses. So the evolution of business isn't only affecting your clients, but also you personally, right? How do you believe it's going to evolve in the coming years in Africa and globally, the future of work in that regard?
You know, I think that there's a big movement. It's very important that companies think harder about the way that their assets, their people, I mean, it sounds unemotional to call it assets, but I say that in a positive way because that's about the value in your business is your people. You know, we've had a great day today because we were acknowledged by the Financial Times in the UK for the proven growth that we've had. And that's come from a team, and that's come from looking after our people and nurturing our vision through their productivity. And, you know, that is becoming even more and more a problem. You know, disengaged employees can cost companies, I think it was something like 34% in a recent survey, that they're up to 34% of their salary in lost productivity. And equally, on the flip side of that, there's data that says that happy employees are 13% more productive.
Right.
And that high engagement will drive 20% plus higher profitability for your business. And this is real data. And the world has moved forward dramatically as it does in its own rhythm. Post-COVID, now AI. The workspace is changing hugely. And I think the really exciting thing for the African continent, and we'll come on to this more as we're talking in terms of the way we've approached product, but there's an opportunity and an obligation. This is the fastest growing zone in the world. This has got the most dynamic workforce building in the world. It's got the youngest workforce in the world. And there's a chance to leapfrog into the most dynamic workspaces in the world. So my vision is singular in that Africa can have the best workspaces for this growing population. And I think that companies are responding well to that, and it's echoing around the world in its own formation. And we at KOFISI, we're bringing that to into reality here.
All right. So what you're saying is like companies have to think a lot about their employees, even in terms of office culture, office design into the future.
Absolutely. I mean, there's great examples. Like Hilton increased their 90% plus increase in engagement by using wellness and purpose and inclusion. And that led to greater customer satisfaction and market growth. So, you know, that's a big brand that's been able to adapt its approach. And I think that to get anywhere, one tends to be more successful if you're dealing with expertise. And the workspace is becoming a real ecosystem that needs to be managed well. And most companies are not set up to be able to do that. And that's okay, because that's not what they're there to do. They're there to deliver their front office, whatever their product may be, whatever their goal is they're digging for. But we are space scientists. We are experts in this. And this is what we can do to help any form of corporate, not just large enterprise, but, you know, discerning enterprise to grow and be better at what their ambition is in their own vision, but we can be there to be the supportive service that they require.
All right. So this, looking into the future of work, businesses are transforming, it's evolving, the workspace is evolving. And by the way, you're being very modest about that FT listing. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Let's not gloss over that. KOFISI has been, award-winning from last year, EAPI. We've seen SBID awards. So you're space scientists, thought leaders in this transformation. How are you positioning yourself to ensure that you're staying ahead of the curve as that industry sort of grows and the workspace continues to evolve?
Well, that you're talking really about something that I focus a lot on, which is the layers of the product, and that we're going to cover, I think, a few of these today. But we're trying to codify what's great experience, and we're doing that by understanding the layers of influence to create that great experience. I mean, Disney was the founder of that idea with his imagination, and the sense of building a memory when you went to one of the parks. And in our own way, we're imagineering how space can be even better every day. But key principles of innovation, key principles of sustainability, key principles of technology, all laced inside our primary product of hotelification, this concept of creating a feeling that is the supportive environment that you would get in a hotel. You're very kind with your accolades, but I think that one thing that I'm very proud of with our team is just the depth of the passion to constantly improve. And I think that's what will keep us in front.
All right. Many of the businesses within KOFISI get that feel of, a hotel, luxury. What inspired this approach? I know you've mentioned a bit of Disney, that memory. It's more than the place. It's more about how you feel when you get there. I think this is something that's said a lot in KOFISI. How are you making it a reality for someone who's hearing the word hotelification for the first time?
Well, when we started out with the idea, what we wanted to do was to create a place that can allow or develop greater productivity. And we thought through how can that happen? And what we really did was we looked at other environments where in good engagement and good results were occurring, not necessarily in work, but maybe in leisure, maybe in sport, maybe in just everyday life. And so we really used the concept of assimilation, and we brought a very established idea into something that was evolving. Hotels have been around for centuries. The shared workspace industry has really only grown in the last 20 years. And there's been good examples of this, where brands have used long-term heritage ideas to amplify their thinking. Probably the most famous one is the Marlboro Cowboy, which everyone made it feel like everyone had smoked Marlboro cigarettes from when they were, from the beginning of time in America. But it was actually quite a young brand when it started that. So it's not a great reference because we're referring to tobacco, but it's been done. Ray Kroc did it with McDonald's and in instilling family values into the franchise system. He was a pioneer there. And we just thought we got an opportunity here to do something that's special and meaningful. And we looked at the hotel environment and we saw that this was something that people recognized. And it was also a very strong parallel to the demands of a workspace. Mm-hmm. So instead of going off to your room and having a shower, you go to your office and use a desk, but you kind of have the same demands in between, whether it be for food or for support or for service or for variety or for lounges or to collaborate or to collide. These are all similar principles. And so then when we amplified that into service standards, that's our ambition, is to create that, with thoughtfulness in your day of work.
All right. As of this point, this is May 2025. We have Amazon in the house, Bolt, other multinational companies. We have Google over in Lagos. We have, in Casablanca. There's more. and more to come with even more centers that are planned in the future. What is it that is making KOFISI such a good strategic partner for this large multinational corporations which are trying to establish and grow here?
You've got multiple reasons why it works. Ultimately, we're offering a platform for people to be able to quickly establish themselves and get on, as we just talked about, their main event. There are agnostic or consistent factors in the shared workspace industry, which are its flexibility and its speed, which make it great. But our firm focus on customizing the space makes it a really strong value add. And I think beyond that, the scale of our locations as we're growing and the scale of the facilities and services, which we refer to as our ecosystem, means that the return on investment that you get by taking a space with us is large.
Right, in the long term.
Yeah, and I think that we're seeing that translate now into multi-country deals and multiple conversations with influencers in the real estate environment, because KOFISI really is helping companies get on with work, get to work. I mean, Africa is booming, and everybody's here.
Yeah,
and so Google's here, Apple's here, Amazon's here. We're the right destinations for that kind of credibility for your organization.
Right. Those are companies which, half of them are in the technology space. So it's also the future of work. It's important we talk tech. You mentioned AI, you mentioned, how things are moving in terms of digitization. Is that something that KOFISI is thinking about, especially because of the growth in multi-countries, cities? There's need for that, collaboration across borders and time zones. How is technology integrated here?
Well, technology is a big part of the process in terms of process efficiency, in back of house, in terms of our capacity to deliver on the scale that we do. But it's more than that. We are very driven by the idea of democratization of facilities, and technology plays a part in that as well, because we're allowing access to tech. We're in this room.
Yeah.
We're allowing access to technology that most companies may not think to invest in, and it's here. And you can use it as you need to. And our innovation combines them with technology, because we have an ambition for very much a frictionless environment, using your membership card to power your day in more ways than just accessing the doors. We're bringing in wallet technology, data tracking technology over the next period. And it's a very exciting area of development for us for this year. And we are working very closely in our new partnership under UniKey as well, with our fabulous partners in South Africa, Workshop 17, who have been a real leader in this area for the continent. And we're bringing a lot of that technology into KOFISI.
And I'm sure that ability, of course, enabling members to work from Workshop 17 centers and KOFISI is helping it become that strategic partner, as you had mentioned earlier. Recently, you've shared exciting news about new locations. There's the, most notably one being Kofici Kascazi. In your own words of this podcast, you've said it's going to be something unlike what we have seen before. What does that mean, and how does it represent the future of workspaces and KOFISI?
Yeah, Kofici Kascazi is the culmination of 10 years' work.
Oh, that long?
Well, it's the learnings that we've had, and we're on a journey. We've said before that excellence is a journey. It's not a destination. So every time we do a location, we're looking to find better and bigger opportunities. And this, we think, is probably the most innovative piece of real estate in sub-Saharan Africa. It scales 100,000 square feet, set over 10 floors, with the most extraordinary 360-degree views, including Karura Forest. It's so localized in its experience because you're working in a Kenyan, in a Nairobi building. but we're bringing now the innovation to that building. And this is true hotelification. From ground floor activations, we'll have 2 food and beverage outlets, restaurant on the ground floor, a cafe up on the roof. We have got a exciting new facility and a screening room for private films, 30-person screening room. And we will have a number of additional facilities that are new. Obviously, we have our classic products in our gather space and our award-winning meeting rooms and knowledge room format, large customized suites for clients, and then a capacity to move between floors, which we've worked really hard on in terms of the ergonomics inside the space. But notably, we're adding quite a substantial investment in lifestyle, and we're bringing in wellness facilities, a 3,000 square foot gym, treatment rooms, and the ambition, although it's not confirmed, is that we will have some accommodation as well on location.
Work is going to get way too enjoyable at Kofici Kascazi.
That's great. Yeah, I like that. Well, that's what we really need. But, you know, the thing about it is that the ecosystem for us is about not just having multi-facilities, it's about the way they talk to each other. And there's very intentional steps that are taken from the design patterning to encourage what we call the infinite loop of productivity. So there's collision, there's decision, there's dedication, and there's celebration. And it's that cycle you need to be working on, and you need to move through the building. You have to have reason to go to other floors. So we don't want to have a one-dimensional user experience as part of the car. You go straight upstairs. So, but with the ground floor activation, it will allow some degree of public access to one of our food and beverage environments. But also with the technology and our officers inside the building, we'll be able to create service systems that actually encourage kinetics and usage of the facilities. So, you know, I've just spent the last couple of weeks working very deeply with the product team. We have 10 people in our organization that are only thinking about the small elements inside the building. So that's a lot of brain trust that's being put into thinking through what are the moments that we're making here? What are the key moments? What are the experiences you need to have when you have those moments? Whether it be the art, whether it be the uniforms, whether it be the crockery, whether it be the scent, all these elements that come together to create something quite magical. Comes back to this idea of imagineering what a great experience needs to feel like. And it's very deep.
It is. It does sound deep. You're giving the public access, just us a little access with a public restaurant at Kofici Kascazi. Is it mainly to just sell FOMO, just the fear of missing out of being at Kofici, or how is it going to work?
Well, I think it's again, it's taking an idea from a hotel. You know, hotels have public activations on the ground floor. They will work with a blend of residents and guests coming in, but they're there to experience it, and that kind of adds a little bit of a flavour and a buzz for certain times of the day. But we have a very established events business, and we're used to inviting people in, but this just takes it one step forward. I mean, Kascazi is going to be, everything is going to be one step forward from what we have put together at Kofici Square.
Right. Sustainability now, it's central to workspace design at this point. And I know Kofici is embedding sustainability in its products. I've seen it, and it is in the long-term vision. How does this play out from where you see that as, the vision you've had for the past couple of years, several years you've said that you've been working on this?
10 years.
10 years. How does it work now for the long-term vision?
Sustainability is not, it's not a peripheral concern generally. But it has to lie at the heart of every company's long-term viability. We have a responsibility as the cities that are rapidly urbanizing. It's the fastest urbanizing environments in the world, and there's this opportunity to do things right. So it's very central to the narrative to Africa in that sense. I mean, over the next decade, making sustainable infrastructure and resource is going to be one of the largest themes. And I think at KOFISI we're integrating ESG factors that aren't just about risk mitigation or just tick boxing. It's about unlocking serious value, and that value manifests itself as in terms of its experience for the user, its education for our clients. But we're good citizens in that way, and it matters to us a lot, and it's always been the theme for us. As it's one of our layers, but it's highly invested by the leadership, and it's in everything that we're considering, whether it be building choice, how energy is sourced and transmitted, how we work with local communities to deliver our amazing interiors. 75 to 80% of our goods are locally made, and as the biggest contributor to emissions, which is the construction industry, it's not aviation. Being able to recycle a space in itself is a great sustainable measure.
Yeah.
But I think it's very important for us, and our impact reaches beyond the obvious, because we're also helping in economic development, because fundamentally what we're doing is we're not only helping companies come in, but we're helping create jobs. And we're also setting standards. We have our brilliant KOFISI Academy that we're very proud of, that we've set up to be able to train our teams and elevate their capacity. So, when people ask me this question, it can sometimes lead to that sort of sense of, just tell us what you're doing. But it's very embedded in the fabric of our approach.
Okay. From a leadership perspective now, again, just for those who are looking to ensure that they attract and retain the top talent, and also for, economic, we've already mentioned on the economic contribution or economic development, and how KOFISI is coming in with, working with local artisans, local producers, even in the kitchens. Just from where you sit at as a leader, as a founder, that future in trying to attract and retain talent, and also just through innovative workspaces, how do you see KOFISI shaping that?
I think it's a great question. Talent is the name in the game for every business. It's about attracting good talent and retaining good talent, and it's expensive to lose people for every company. I've found in conversations that most companies are not aware of that risk. It's a shocking number of, I think it was another poll of people that as high as 75% of employees are actively seeking to leave.
That's a lot.
It is. It's high. In the US, half the workforce is watching for other jobs. So got to be really aware of your people and what they need. And so if you put it in its rawest sense, to simplify it down, if you have a great workspace and a competitor brand doesn't, that's a retention for you, okay? And it creates a, I think, a real point of difference for you as an organization. And we're making it easy for you to be able to solve that problem. It's not just about the numbers. It's about it's more than the numbers. And we're an outsourcer at heart. We want to solve a problem and make it more cost effective for you. So I think that it's an interesting situation, because the world is moving very fast, and but we don't see enough companies really understanding how important that is. And there's a reason why companies are leaders, and those leaders are in a KOFISI. Well, yeah. I'm not saying that they were leaders when they came into market, and they've chosen to work with businesses like ours, and say the same for other shared workspace environments, because it's a much stronger product for you.
Right. You're taking care of how their talent is feeling while they're
correct.
At work. Yeah. But just to close it up now at this point, is what it is that makes you feel happy at KOFISI, your most exciting times, or your favorite part of KOFISI, your favorite center. You can just Pick one and tell us why.
Well, of course, I love them all.
Of course, you'd say that. You love all your children. That's all your centers.
Yeah.
But yeah, a favorite moment of yours at KOFISI.
A favorite moment of mine at KOFISI. I think there have been so many. I mean, we really enjoy the big moments. You know, there's been some big successes, and we share the failures as well. You know, we don't get everything right the whole time, but we learn and we evolve, and we're back to that journey. I'm very proud of what we've achieved. I can remember the lunch that we had when we made the decision to make that move to hospitality, and to think where we are now is it's mind expanding. You know, we're doing things that I never believed we would be doing, and I think that's represented by Kofici Kascazi. And I'm just so delighted that it's working for companies and it's working for people, and we're really helping elevate the standards and elevate not just the standards, but elevate the optic that people have for what's possible in this amazing continent. And that's a big part of it. So probably what really makes me smile is when people feedback about their experiences in our locations in other markets, because that really makes it worthwhile, because they're out there talking about it. I mean, any of these awards that you've talked about, it's great for the continent, it's great for the industry, because we're showing what's possible, and we just want to keep doing what we do well, and that is making sure that everybody has a great work day. Yeah,
consistent quality, whether I'm in Tanzania, Nigeria, or Kenya, it's still the same.
That's right.
Okay. Just finally. Yeah, this is a
I'm
question.
learning. There's throwing these extra questions in.
Yeah, let me do a final one because it's a future of work. So I'm going to allow me to ask a question that is like a far flung into the future.
Okay.
KOFISI, changing the standards of workspaces or redefining workspace standards in Africa. Are you planning to step outside of Africa, or there have been interests from businesses outside, like come and save us over here in Europe, or come and save us in elsewhere, other markets?
The vision for our idea is very big, and the scale of that thinking leads you to the ideas of what we could do that perhaps is outside the continent. We're very firmly focused on building the scale in the cities that we've identified in this continent, and there's still so much to do there. But we are actively in discussions on other zones. We're very interested in what we may be able to do in the Middle East, or the GCC, because we see a lot of parallels there to what we're doing here in Africa. And we're a client-led business. If clients need us, we'll go. And we're very excited about that potential to be able to create an export brand from Africa.
Right.
And I think that KOFISI could be that brand.
All right. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations for so far, and all the best in the future.
I really appreciate it. I love coming here, and thank you for your time.
All right.